Hey, I'm Matchstick, and I review paranoir, or noir with supernatural elements, which is the main genre I write. This video is about the graphic novel Hellblazer Pandemonium, which was published by Vertigo, DC in 2010. The story was released for the 25th anniversary of the character of John Constantine, and Jamie Delano, who wrote it, was the first one to write John when the Hellblazer series started up, so this might have been an attempt at a triumphant return. However, I like this graphic novel better than Delano's run on Hellblazer itself. Delano was instrumental in injecting politics into the Constantine universe, using his tenure writing the character to really stick it to Margaret Thatcher when her administration was current events. Here he tackles another current events subject that most comic writers at the time avoided, namely the war in Iraq that stretched from 2003 to 2011. The book is, as you might guess, very gruesome and not for the squeamish, but it has some interesting things to say about the both very complex and terribly simple part of the human condition we call war. Pandemonium is short, so I'm not going to do a plot synopsis really, but John gets coerced by the British government into going to Iraq to interrogate a supernatural prisoner of the US occupation. It turns out that an old demonic foe of his is in the neighborhood, and things shift gears into John in survival mode. It's a cool little plot that folds together nicely while showing the unsuspecting comic reader a slice of hell that is far too real for much of the human population. If the comic opens any minds to the suffering of others while it does its entertaining, that's a job well done. But Pandemonium makes a connection between the soul-harvesting narrative of hell and wars like the one in Iraq, which are essentially doing the same thing, profiting off the deaths of large amounts of people. Having demons be responsible for wars isn't a new concept by any means, but it's pretty well done here. It reminds me of how villains are the most important part of superhero comics, at least in my opinion, because they give abstract concepts, like crime waves, a face that can then get punched. In a similar way, demonic warmongers make sense because if there were actual demons running wars, we might do a better job of at least naming the parties responsible. Not that the Iraq War's architects were especially hard to find. I think Dick Cheney and his entourage of oil-hungry fools fit that bill just fine, and I hope they burn in hell. And point being that, even if it's just a dumb comic about a wisecracking wizard, at least it gets you thinking. Pandemonium's a little weird in spots and has some white savior tropes, but the art is incredible enough to warrant a purchase on its own. It's one of Jock's first books on interior art, and he just kills it. I recommend Pandemonium to Hellblazer fans. It's not a jumping on point exactly, even if it's a complete story in itself, but it's well worth a read.